بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
Now, the next thing we need to understand about the core skill set as well. Now, okay, fine. Now, once we understand the different roles of the engineers, where exactly you fit in, and what are the roles and responsibilities, and what are the different career options we have to move on, and understanding the roles, and accordingly, you can add the skill set. And the skill set, when you're adding, you need to also consider the current marketing trends as well. We discussed. Now, whatever the things, you need to know the core skill. Now, there will be a specific core skills which you need to add, especially if you're a network engineer. Then you need to have a core skill set of implementing the routers and the switches, the routing and the switching protocols. This is very important. Whether it is an OSPF protocol or EHRP protocol, whatever the protocol running in the network. If you're connecting to ISP, then BGP required, and then MPLS and some VPN concepts like implementing the DM VPN or any other VPNs, the WAN connections. This is important. On the top of it, additionally, you need to have the skill set of the monitoring, network monitoring as well, because you will be doing a network monitoring options. Okay, so you need to have a idea about the network monitoring tools like SolarWinds or Wireshark, packet capturing tools like Wireshark or SolarWinds, or any other monitoring tools as well. Okay, now if you take any role, any network engineer role, most of the network engineer or the network security engineer roles, the core skill set will be you need to have understanding of the routing protocols, because there will be a LAN and there will be a WAN. Of course, you need to have the skill set, and minimum at the CCNP level. So I'm considering, let's say, you need to have at least the CCNP level skills, CCNP enterprise level skills. That's something, a minimum skill set you need to have. Okay. Whether you're managing 2 to 5 years of experience or anything more than that, 2+ or 5+, whatever the years of experience. Okay. That's something you need to know. And on the top of just adding that skill set is not sufficient, because at the end you will also be having, you also need to have an idea, because majority of the rules, when you are 2 to 5 years of experience, they expect you to have some firewall skills as well. So you need to have an idea about any one of the firewall, at least one firewall or 1 or 2 firewalls. That's something what they expect, because in the organizations you will have a router, switches, at the same time also there will be a firewalls, and also you need to have an IP idea about the VPNs, because technically you will be using most of the site-to-site VPNs or the remote access VPNs. So there are many users connect remotely from internet, from home or through the internet. So they expect you to have some VPN skills as well. So this comes under more on the network security skills. But again, it depends on the company. Like if your role is more on the network engineer, so they expect you to have an idea and the management of these things. So they don't expect you to configure everything. So they expect you to they expect you to manage which is already configured. Unless you are a network security engineer, now you are expected to know this as a core skills like configuration and the management. But coming to the LAN and the WAN, you just have an idea, or you just have idea about that. You know some part of that, but you're not really expertise. But still, you come from here. Okay, basically when you start your career, you generally start as a network engineer, and then slowly you move on to the network security engineer. That's how it goes. Okay, so at the end, the roles are not specific. For whatever the role, you need to have an idea about the uh, monitoring tools as well. Now, depends upon the what tool you use. If you're working for one company, they might be using the SolarWinds, or if you move to another company, they might be using HP OpenView. If you move to another company, they might be using Negios, or there are different tools, or WhatsUp World, something like that. So the more work experience you have, the more tools you generally add to your profile. Okay. So, but then that is also a mandatory skill set you need to have if you want to advance compulsory. And this is something I'm talking about who are already working. Okay, so I'm not talking about the fresher. If you are a fresher, obviously this is not the session for them. But definitely once they start working, then they can plan. Okay, so again, I have another session how to become a network security engineer. That's something I have recorded separately. That is for the beginners, and this is something required. A monitoring skill, network monitoring tool is mandatory. Okay. Now, apart from that, you also need to add some certifications. Now, certifications adds value to your skills, but at the end, certifications are not mandatory. If you're facing the interviews, you don't need to be certified in all. But at the end, companies look out for certified candidates for many reasons, like for the projects. To get the projects, they need to show up these many certified candidates, and also that will add value. So it will become easy for them to shortlist the candidates, especially the HRs. Those people are non-technical guys. They just look into some skill set and some certifications, some matching criterias. So if you have this, that will there are more chances to get your profile shortlisted. But at the end, certifications will not get you a job. Okay, so majority of the people just do only certifications, but that's not actually making you to clear the interviews. That is just helping you to get shortlisted again. So the more certifications you can add up. But if you ask me whether you need to invest on the certifications or adding another skill set, I generally go with this one. Okay, because certifications are something you can add in the future once you start working, or if required for the company, or those things. But the same investment, if you're doing on adding any other knowledge or the skill set, that will add another core skill set to your profile. Okay, that's something you have to do, and that's something what I normally suggest here. Okay, so you can add that skill set, add any skill set. It depends on that. And additionally, as per the current trends, you also need to have some automation skills or some kind of scripting or programming skills. That's something add on. These are all add ons, not mandatory. The more skill set you can add up, but it totally depends on the individuals. Because you can, if you ask me, do you need to add all? It depends on the company, the role you work in. Like, if I take an example, let's say you are working as a level 2 engineer, as a network engineer, let's say. Now, and you have an experience around 4 plus or 5 plus years of experience. Let's say you have around 4 to 5 years of experience on your company, and now you want to excel. Now, the main reason of moving on, maybe you want to move to the level 3, or maybe you want to get into network security, whatever the profile you want to just add on. Now, why you do, obviously, the coming to the main point, obviously you definitely want to have a good hike in the salary. Obviously, salary expectations are high. You need to make it at least 20 to 50% of the difference in the salaries, obviously. Then also the score skill set also you need to add. Okay, the more skill set you need to add. So now the first thing what you have to consider here is, okay, so I'm working for a specific ABC company as a network engineer. This is my role, and this is what experience I have. Now the first thing what you have to do is you need to look out for the specific jobs and the roles and the responsibilities, what exactly the other companies are offering. Again, like if you go to any job portal websites, if you search with the same roles, similar roles, now you'll find what are the different roles and responsibilities you need to have, and what are the skill set you need to have, they expect. And of course, the experience is just a number, but the main thing is the roles and the skill set accordingly what they are expecting. So now you need to match these expectations. So what is the expectations and what you actually have? Now this is very important to match. Okay, so if you have the same thing, let's say if this is equal, then mostly you can easily expect 20 to 30% of hike any other company you move. So there's no problem at all. The problem with majority of the candidates is you don't find this skill. That is a problem. Okay. So, because if you're working for one company, let's say I'm working for an ABC company, they might be having a LAN, a very big LAN, maybe thousands of devices, and you work more on the switching side, and they don't have much on the routing side. They do have one or two sites, hardly, and they run the OSPF, and they have the connection to the ISP, let's say connecting to BGP, and that's it. They don't have any MPLS network or MPLS connectivity. They don't have SD-WAN. They don't have many other things what generally expected in the market. Now that's where the problem comes, because you have been working for 4 to 5 years on a network where you don't have much exposure to many things. And if you're applying for the same experience, let's say you're just applying for any job for the same experience, so the expectations will be very high. So what you have to do is you need to bridge that gap. That is the important part. Okay, so now again, as I said, it will vary from individuals, it will vary from different roles. But any number of job roles you see, let's say if you're figuring out 5 different companies with a similar role, so you need to at least have 70% of the overlap, 50 to 70% of the overlap of your skill set, at least minimum, as I said. Okay, you just overlap, take out the overlap skill set, and you need to just match them and add them, because I cannot show you an example here because it varies based on individuals, as I said. Now you need to plan with yourself. You need to find out where you are exactly standing. You need to find out the same roles, what the other job roles are expected, the skill set, because many people say we are unable to clear the interviews, we are unable to get clear the interviews, or we are unable to manage the experience because that there are so many technical questions being asked which we don't know or which we never worked on. That is purely because every company network is different. Okay, but at the end you need to calculate the average skill set in that particular role and figure out what are the different specific courses or the modules you need to learn, you need to add those things, you need to add. Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, so if you are already into this, then easily with the same skill set, every company when they hire any new person, obviously there will be 20 to 30% of the salary difference will be, you can expect or you can demand for it, because if they are offering the same salary, what is the point in changing the job, right? So you can simply say that, because everyone knows the HRs how they negotiate. So at the end they will be hiring with a 10 to 15%, that's a minimum thing, and then you can ask for more depending upon the skill set you have. But if you don't have the skill set, and if you're not really working on that role, then it becomes a challenge on the technical interviews. Again, even though you write a big resume with a 2 3 pages 4 pages with all the skill set, but at the end if you are unable to prove, then that's going to be a challenge again. Okay, so that's where many people fail. Okay, so this is the first thing. Now the second thing, let's say if you have this, let's say if I say, okay, now this is equal. Now you can say like, okay, this is equal, so I'm good whatever the roles. I have a 5 plus years of experience. Let me just quickly erase this. And I can say whatever the network role I have, whatever the company where I'm working, whatever the expectations from other companies, almost equal, so they match more than 70%. It's not possible 100%, because you might not know each and everything, and every company have a different set of requirements. So if it matches around more than 50 to 70%, then you can say, now what should I do? Now you need to, the second thing what you have to do is, you're working as a level 2 engineer with a 4 plus years experience. Now you have to see the people who are working as a level 3, who are working as network security engineers, who are making more or making better than you, or who are having more experience, or maybe a manager role if you want to get into management kind of roles. So now you need to see them within the company, mostly your seniors, or maybe your seniors working in a different company, or your contacts, or someone, anyone it can be. Okay, or try to see the profile. If there is no one around you, then just try to see the job roles. Again, the same thing. Go to job portal, and try to see the different types of job profiles which you come up with the next level. Now you need to find what is your next level you want to achieve, and you need to find the skill set now. Now you need to identify the skill set, you need to identify the experience, you need to identify the courses what you need to add up, and you need to start expertising. Because now one more thing before that you have to do is you need to revise the skill set what you already have. Okay, because most of the time you you might be a CCNP certified, but as you don't do much work on the BGP, you might not be in a position to answer the BGP questions. But whereas the future company is expecting you to know more on the BGP as well. Okay, so of course you also see the job description to when you prepare for the interviews as well. So revising the skills is very important. That's the first thing you have to do, because revising the core skill set like ACL NAT. ACL NAT is a small concept. NAT I know we have implemented, but again you need to fill the gaps, because there might be some NAT implementations you might not be implementing, but that something might be used somewhere else. Or maybe a specific firewall. You are good at Palo Alto firewall, but maybe you need to learn the FortiGate firewalls, which might there might be another company using. Okay, or you might have learned some firewall skills, but you don't do much of the management. You have to learn that. Okay, so revise the skills and become an expert in your skills what you have. That is very important. So you have to be an expert in the skills what you have, and then you need to add this new skill set what is required for you to match that next role and match that experience. Of course, you cannot add the years, but you can modify your profile as per that. Of course, you will be changing your profile, changing your resume as per this role, because maybe you have an experience of a desktop engineer working for 2 years. So probably, and then you have a system admin working for 1 year, and then you have a network engineer working for 2 years. So overall, it will be 5 years. But again, if you are going as a network security engineer, mostly this will not be counted. So you need to slightly change the roles, slightly change the responsibilities, more matching to this profile, the new profile. Okay, like showing up as if you have worked as a network engineer for 2 years and then network security engineer for 2 years. So modifying your profile is also important, not completely, but the previous experience has to closely match to the next profile. Because once you add the skill set, you can easily modify your profile and make your profile matching this. And that's where again you can expect better options as well. So that's how you need to plan. Now, this is something you have to plan every 2 years on, like that, probably. And maybe uh, and learning is very important. The main thing you need to keep in mind, you need to keep on learning. That is very important, because you need to invest continuously on learning, because to do this and while you're working. So roughly, if you see there is a specific sessions and a playlist which I have covered, how you can what will be the schedule if you want to become a CCNP or CCI level in the future, then what will be the study plan you have to follow. So if you find there should be a playlist which you should find on my channel, probably that is going to cover up that. Okay, so you can also go through with that as well. So investing on learning is very important. Now, it's not mandatory that there are many options nowadays. You have plenty of online sessions you can attend, or mainly the video trainings which is more effective if you have a tight schedule, or if you want to optimize, or if you want to be a cost effective solution, the video training is good. But again, self learning is something you need to keep on doing it. You need to motivate self motivation is important. You need to focus, dedicate. This is very important. Okay, so you cannot expect someone all the time to be back of you, pushing you. Okay, that's not possible, even for a trainer or someone, even for your senior. No one will do it for you, because at then you have to do it for yourself. So you can find plenty of options. So offline trainings are very less. I don't really find any options to do still. I don't see it. But you need to find out the skill set, and you have to invest on learning. So every week 20 hours of learning is something every week you have to accommodate. maybe 10 hours on learning the skills and 10 hours on practice. It can be like weekdays, 2 hours per day, 5 weekdays, and then finally on the weekends, another 10 hours for practice and other things. You have to manage, your schedules, you can manage those things. Okay, so that's something you need to add on. And additionally, you need to work on some projects. The more hands-on you get, you gain more experience. You by contributing on the real-time projects or the simulated projects as well. Even if you are trying to simulate the projects, you can simulate your existing project on the GNS 3 or implement that. Join some professional communities. You need to join professional communities or the groups, networks where you have the professionals. Developing some kind of soft skills. These are the additional things you need to add. Developing the leadership skills or the communication skills is also going to be very important. Okay. So, in short, if I summarize these things, like all these things, the main thing is you need to uh, you know the different roles. You need to understand the different roles, and you need to understand the emerging trends or the emerging technologies and the certifications to add up. So those things you need to identify, and the second thing, you need to work on the skills development as well and certifications. And as I said, finally, at the end, networking is again the backbone of any organization, because everything is digitally transformed now. It's very important that you plan these things. So there are plenty of examples I can show you. There are many people who has been more than like who started with the CCNA training or CCNP training, excelled in many fields, even they go up to CCI level. There are plenty of examples of that. The main common thing about in all is the continuous learning. Okay, so whatever the platform you're using, you need to continuously learn and keep yourself motivated and planning as per the individuals. Okay, because it varies based on individuals. As I said, I cannot specifically tell which field, but this is common part for anyone. You have to analyze, you have to figure out, and you have to find out what you can do. Okay. Okay, so these are some of the things you need to understand, the core skills for career advancement. That is the main goal here, what I discussed. Especially if you are planning some those things, it's really important that you focus on these things. Okay.